I am Reed. I am 27, just an average dude. IV made tons of money mistakes in my 20s. And now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. All right, let me start by saying something real. If you've ever woken up in the middle of the night and asked yourself, why am I not where I want to be in life yet? You are not alone. That question hits me more often than I'd like to admit. I am 27. I have a job I like. I am not in debt anymore. I have savings. I work out. I have good people around me. And still sometimes I scroll through social media and see some dude my age buying a second rental property or launching some crazy successful business. And I think, damn, am I falling behind? The answer I keep coming back to is no. But it took me a solid 7 years to get to that answer. Let me walk you through what I actually learned, not from some financial guru or life coach, but from making mistakes and paying attention. First thing I gotta talk about is careers. When I was in college, I had absolutely no clue what I wanted to do with my life. I mean, zero. I started off in business school because I thought that is what you do if you want to make money, right? Well, I sat through about 3 semesters of accounting and marketing classes, and I was bored out of my mind. Then I switched to biology because I thought maybe I'd go to med school. Big mistake. I hate lab work. I mean, I really hate it. Pipetting things into tiny tubes for hours, no thanks. Then I tried at systems management. That was closer, but still didn't T-click. Finally, I landed on software engineering, and that stuck. I've been doing it for a few years now, and it is a good fit for me. But here's the thing. I didn't figure that out by sitting in my dorm room thinking really hard about it. I figured it out by trying things and failing. I took internships when I was 19, 20, and 21. Some of them I hated. One summer, I sat in a cubicle doing data entry for 8 hours a day, and I wanted to jump out a window. But that experience taught me exactly what I didn't want. That is just as valuable as knowing what you do want. So my advice to anyone in their early 20s is go to career fairs, talk to random professionals, shadow someone for a day, take a part-time job in a field you are curious about. The goal right now is not to make money. The goal is to find something that actually interests you. Worry about learning first. The money comes later if you are good at what you do. And look, I know it is scary to switch paths. I switched majors 3 times. I felt like I was wasting time and money. But honestly, those perceived detours were just me gathering information. You are not locked into the decision you made at 18 or 19 or even 22. Your 20s are for exploration, not settling. So if you are in a job that bores you or makes you miserable, think about what you'd rather be doing. Can you learn that skill on the side? Can you take a course? Can you talk to someone who does it and ask them 100 questions? Do not take the boring job just because it pays the most money right now. I've seen friends do that. They make good money, but they hate every single Monday and they re-burned out by 30. That is not the goal. That is a trap. All right, second thing, and this is a big one, learn about money. I mean, really learn about it, not just how to earn it, but how to make it work for you. The earlier you understand how money actually functions, the faster you can stop being a slave to it. I grew up with no financial education at all. My parents are good people, but they didn't teach me about investing or compound interest or budgeting because nobody taught them either. So when I got my first real paycheck, I did what any idiot 22-year-old would do. I spent it all. New clothes, nice dinners, bar tabs. I was living paycheck to paycheck, and I had a few $1,000s in credit card debt too. I felt like I was doing fine because I was making money, but I was going nowhere. Then I got lucky. A coworker of mine, older guy, maybe late 30s, sat me down one day and explained compound interest to me like I was 5 years old. He said, Reed, if you invest $500 a month starting at 22, you have over $1 million by the time you are 60. If you wait until you are 32, you need to invest more than double that to get the same result. Something clicked in my brain that day. I went home and read everything I could find about investing. I read The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. I read The Little Book of Common Sense Investing by John Bogle. I read articles on Investor Jester and The White Coat Investor. I didn't understand half of it at first, but I kept reading. Now, I am not here to give you financial advice. I am not a professional. I am just some guy. But I can tell you what worked for me. After I graduated and got my first software engineering job, I kept my lifestyle exactly the same as when I was broke. I was making $65K a year, and my rent was still $500 because I lived with roommates. I drove a beat-up Honda Civic. I ate cheap food, and I put every extra dollar into a low-cost index fund. It wasn't glamorous. I watched my friends buy new cars and go on fancy vacations while I sat at home eating rice and beans. But you know what? 5 years later, my friends are still making car payments and I have a solid nest egg. The math works if you give it time. The bigger you can make the gap between your income and your expenses, the faster you build wealth. It is that simple. Now about social life. This one hits close to home because I was the guy who wanted to go out every single weekend. In my early 20s, my entire social circle revolved around bars and parties. We pre-game then, hit the clubs, then get fast food at 2 a.m., then wake up feeling like death, rinse and repeat every Friday and Saturday. It felt fun at the time, but around age 24 that started to change. The hangovers got worse. I mean, way worse. I'd be useless for an entire day after a night of drinking, and my bank account was taking hits too. A night out would easily cost me $100 between Ubers, drinks, and food. That is $400 a month. That is almost $5,000 a year just on going out. So I started changing my social habits. I didn't cut out drinking completely, but I cut way back. Instead of meeting friends at a bar, I suggest hiking or playing basketball or just cooking dinner at someone's apartment. At first, it felt weird. I thought I'd be missing out. But then I realized the conversations I had sober were way more meaningful. I started valuing friends. I could have deep talks with not just drinking buddies, and it turns out there are tons of fun things to do that don't involve alcohol. Even in Wisconsin, believe it or not. Your friendships will change in your 20s. That is normal. Some people will drift away. Others will get busy with careers or relationships. You realize you don't have time for everyone, and that is okay. Focus on the few people who actually make your life better. The ones who challenge you and support you and show up when you need them. Those are the friendships worth keeping. And if you look around and realize your circle is great, then change it. Join a club, volunteer, go to a meetup, put yourself out there. It is uncomfortable, but it is worth it. Dating in your 20s is a whole other mess, and honestly, I don't have all the answers here because I am still figuring it out myself, but I can tell you what I've observed in your early 20s dating is kind of a joke. Most people want to be single, they want freedom. They don't want baggage, they want to travel and have fun and not commit to anything serious. And that is fine, but as you get older, things shift. People start pairing off, they start looking for something real. They start thinking about marriage and kids and building a life with someone. And if you are still single while everyone around you is getting engaged, it can feel pretty lonely. I've been there. I've seen friends get married and felt like I was being left behind. But here's what I've learned. Everyone moves at their own pace. Comparing your timeline to someone else is a fast track to misery. The best thing you can do is work on yourself. Get your life in order. Be someone that a great partner would want to be with. That means being financially stable, emotionally mature, and having your own interests and goals, and then put yourself out there, ask people out, go on dates. Don't be afraid of rejection. The worst they can say is no, and that is not the end of the world. Set aside time for dating like it matters, because it does. You never know who you meet or where it lead. Health is another area where I failed hard in my early 20s. My diet was absolutely terrible. I am talking microwavable burritos, frozen pizzas, ramen noodles, burgers, fries, and Miller Lite. That is basically all I ate. I never exercised. I sat at a desk all day and then sat on my couch all night. I was skinny, but I felt awful. I had no energy. I got sick all the time. My skin was bad. I slept poorly, and I just accepted that as normal. Then around age 24, I started to notice changes. I gain weight faster. I feel tired. After a single beer, my back started hurting for no reason, and I realized if I didn't change something, my 30s were going to be brutal, so I started small. I joined a cheap gym. Not a fancy one, just a basic place with weights and cardio machines. I started going 3 times a week even when I didn't feel like it, and I cleaned up my diet. I started cooking at home. I swapped soda for water. I added vegetables to my meals. Nothing extreme, just small sustainable changes. After a few months, I felt like a different person. I had more energy. I slept better. I felt more confident, and that confidence bled into every other area of my life. Work got easier. Dating got easier. I was happier. The gym is probably the easiest part of your day to skip. When you are tired and stressed, the last thing you want to do is work out. But it is also one of the most important habits you can build. Develop those healthy habits now, and your future self will thank you when you are 35 and 45 and 55 and still feeling good. And finally, the most important thing I've learned in my 20s. Develop a value system. Find something to believe in. This might sound cheesy, but stick with me. When you are in your 20s, you are hit with a million decisions every day. What job to take, where to live, who to date, how to spend your money, what to do with your free time. Without a strong foundation, it is easy to get pulled in 100 different directions. I've seen friends chase money, then chase purpose, then chase relationships, then go back to chasing money. They never feel settled because they don't have a framework for making decisions. For me, that framework is my faith. I am a Christian. I found a church community that I love. I volunteer. I pray. I have a small group of guys I meet with every week to talk about life and struggles and big questions. That foundation helps me filter everything else. When I have a tough decision, I ask myself what aligns with my values instead of what makes the most money or looks the best on Instagram. It gives me peace, it gives me direction, and it connects me to something bigger than myself. Now, I am not saying you have to be religious. That is not the point. The point is you need some kind of moral compass, some principles you want to compromise on, some idea of what a good life looks like beyond money and status. Whether that is through faith, philosophy, service, or community, find something that grounds you, volunteer somewhere, join a group that shares your values, read books that challenge your thinking, have deep conversations with people who disagree with you. Build a value system that helps you navigate a very complicated world. I remember one specific moment that changed everything for me. I was 25, sitting alone in my apartment scrolling through Instagram and seeing everyone I knew doing amazing things. One guy was traveling through Southeast Asia. Another girl just got promoted. An old college friend launched a successful Etsy shop. And there I was eating cold pizza in my sweatpants, feeling like a total failure. I put my phone down and I just sat there in the dark for a while. And then I thought about everything I actually accomplished. I paid off my debt. I had a solid job. I had a savings account. I was healthy. I had good friends. I was working on my faith. None of that showed up on Instagram, none of that was clickable or shareable, but it was real. That was the moment I stopped comparing my behind the scenes to everyone else. Highlight real, so if you are watching this and you feel behind, take a breath. You are not as far behind as you think. The fact that you are even searching for advice means you care, and that is already more than most people. Keep going, keep learning, keep making small improvements. They add up faster than you think. I know I threw a lot at you in this video: careers, money, friendships, dating, health, and values. That is a lot to process. But you don't have to fix everything at once. Pick one area, just one. Maybe it is your finances, maybe it is your health, maybe it is your social life. Focus on that for a month. Make one small change, then build from there. That is how real progress happens, not overnight, but over time. One step at a time. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. I appreciate you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What is something you've learned in your 20s that you wish you knew sooner? I read every comment, and I'd love to hear your story. Also, if this video helped you, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. Let us help each other get through this decade. Peace.